So I told myself if I can go through 1 year without having an infection, I'll cancel my surgery. And then 1 year went by.
Sylvie, how did you find carnivore?
Hi, Dave. First of all, thank you for bringing me on your channel. I absolutely love watching your channel, and love hearing everybody's story. So it's a good chance for me to tell my story, I guess. So the way that I came to carnivore was actually through my husband, because in 2021, he was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And we thought, just like everybody else, you get a diagnosis and you just have to live with it. Might be genetic or whatnot. So he decided to dig into it. And that's how well, first he started his keto journey. So he started with keto. And as I watched him do keto, he was losing weight really, really quickly. And me being a woman, I was at 20 to 30 pounds overweight. I'm like, oh, I really need to try this, right? I wanted to do it for the weight loss. So I went keto with him at that point. But I wasn't losing weight at all, at all, at all, at all. However, my moods, I had really, really, really bad mood swings. So bad that sometimes I had to basically hide in my room away from my kids and my husband and say, I need this time alone. I'm very irritable. Has nothing to do with you or the kids, but I just can't see anybody. Um, so that went away with keto. Meanwhile, I had been suffering for the past, since 2014, every single year, and once it was twice a year, from bowel infections called diverticulitis. So that was very, very painful. Ended up in the ER 2, 3 times a year with the bloating, with the pain. Put on antibiotics, on painkillers. I would miss a lot of work, etc. And still on keto, I was still having these issues, IBS, the urgent bowel movements, all of that. It was really hell for me for these past 10 or 11 years. So still on keto, those symptoms were not going away. Meanwhile, we started binging Dr. Ken Berry, and then started listening to Paul Saladino, which was a carnivore, and Kelly Hogan. And I'm like, there's no way I could do that. No, no way. It's too restrictive. I like my vegetables. Um, so continued on the journey, and at one point I consulted with some local naturopaths here, and they put me on a strict carnivore diet. So exactly. Meantime, in 2023, before I went to see them, I actually ended up in the hospital with diverticulitis and was on IV and all that. And I was like, I don't know what to do anymore. And every single time, every doctor that I saw at the ER, and this was dozens and dozens of doctors, eat more fiber, eat more fiber, eat more fiber, etc. So I had all the fiber, the chia seeds, the hemp seeds, the flax seeds, the metamucil, etc., etc. Um, And by that time, I was so sick that I had decided to schedule surgery to take part of my bowel out. In the meantime, when I saw these naturopaths and they put me on this carnivore diet and they said, oh, you'll never have an infection again. And of course, I did not believe them. So I told myself if I can go through 1 year without having an infection, I'll cancel my surgery. And then 1 year went by and I canceled my surgery. So I basically saved my colon. So it wasn't until I took the plants out that my bowel could finally heal itself. So now it's going on. I'm 18 months in, so I'm getting close to the two year mark. So that's basically what led me to carnivore.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That that must have been a fantastic feeling when you first made that commitment. Okay, I'll give it a year, and if this improves, and then slowly but surely noticing over a period of weeks to months that I'm not having any problems.
Exactly. No more pain, no more bloating, no more urgent bowel movements, and best of all, no infections. So that has tremendously improved my quality of life because I don't need to miss work. I don't need to hang out at the hospital. I mean, I'm in Canada and I'm very grateful that our healthcare is free, but it's an 8 to 10 hour wait to get through a doctor and do the CT scan and blood work and all that. So it's improved my quality of life incredibly. Even having the IBS with that, just going out, I was always afraid, am I going to have an urgent bowel movement? I mean, I've seen myself with my daughter in the middle of winter walking in the snow and I had to stop and dig a hole because I had to go, right? So all of that is gone. It's absolutely gone. And that's when on carnivore that my weight started to I started losing weight myself as well.
Oh, that's interesting. So, you've experienced and of course, the mood swings that went away on keto, they stayed away on carnivore.
Oh, they stayed away and it got even better. And I've heard a lot of people say this. It's like the brain fog is gone. And I was always a very shy, anxious person. And all of a sudden, since I've been on carnivore, it's like I've gained confidence and I want to talk to people and I want to talk to people about carnivore and I can't shut up about it now, basically.
So, what kind of reaction do you get from people when you're telling them about it?
It it depends. It really depends because I've started doing little videos here and there and I post and I post and I post. So there's some people that have messaged me and they want help, not necessarily starting with carnivore, but with keto and asking more questions. But there's other people that absolutely think that I'm crazy because, oh my goodness, you're not eating any vegetables. And oh my goodness, no fiber. The fiber thing, I swear that was the worst thing for me. Um, People just don't understand. You have to understand and have lived with the pain of all that GI distress and now feeling like I feel it's just amazing. But yeah, the whole fiber and not eating vegetables, some people they think I'm crazy or I've even heard somebody say you're heading for an early grave. So,
Yeah. So you're you went on to carnivore from your naturopath. Like, is your
mhm.
husband still doing keto, or did he decide, "No, I'm
Oh
doing
no,
carnivore as well"?
he's carnivore as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's how we feel our best. Um and it it's so different now too because we were absolutely obsessed with food. We would wake up in the morning And you had to have breakfast and a snack and lunch and a snack and then supper, and then I'd have my grocery lists, and we would just it just feels like we thought about food all day, and then chopping all these vegetables and whatnot. Now, once you become fat adapted, I'm satiated. So I typically during the week, I eat once a day. I eat around 9 to 10 or 9 to 11 a.m., let's say, and then I'm done eating for the day. And it's typically a steak and eggs. Very satisfied. It's very yummy. And on the weekends, I might have two meals during the day. So it takes a lot of stress away, and we don't have to throw out a whole bunch of vegetables at the end of the week, and me and my husband are doing it together. It's true, like like the stuff that went in the garbage at the end of the week, really it was a lot.
So you mentioned kids. How are your kids? Are they doing the similar kind of thing, or are they just they're eating a
No,
normal menu?
they're eating mostly a more normal menu, if you want to call it that. um but they they eat a lot more meat. So they'll eat a lot more meat, eggs, dairy, and whatnot. My daughter's trying to get rid of some of the vegetables, but she'll still have like um, yogurt and berries and some fruit. Um, the two others are adults, one's moved out. So I still have a carb addict in the house. That one's a little bit more difficult to get on our path. But at least now they ask questions about their nutrition, and they know because we've been telling them, we've been talking to people about it, and we listen to videos all the time, such as your channel and other carnivores, basically.
Compared to before, you must have a very different style of just your normal day to day. Like
Hmm.
before, especially with the IBS, your thoughts would have been dominated by, "Am I gonna need to find a bathroom?" or something like that, right? So, like, how has it changed your day to day?
It's it's freedom, and freedom from the food, and freedom from the anxiety. It created so much anxiety, like even the bloating. I had to have like three sizes of pants, because when my bloating day would come up, I would have to put on my large pants because my normal pants would not fit. Or even going out for a drive, or out of town, or on a vacation, I would always worry that I'd have either an IBS attack, or that I would have an infection of diverticulitis. So I'd actually even take vacation and bring some antibiotics just in case. So basically, yes, it's changed my life a lot. It gave me freedom, basically.
And that constant feeling of having to, maybe I have to go on antibiotics, that's terrible feeling,
Mm,
right? Because that's not good for you.
no, not at all. And it depended. Like the time that I was in the hospital, I had an IV, and then they sent me home with like the big guns antibiotics, and those made me feel just as bad as my infection. And as you know, obviously my microbiome was all shot from then on, and that I had to rebuild, right? So now, that's another thing that I've done since I've gone carnivore. I've just threw out all the supplements, all the protein powders, like anything fake. Now my probiotics is basically kefir. In the morning, I'll have like half a cup of kefir, and those are my probiotics, and everything works perfectly now. So that it took a lot of stress out of my life.
Nice. Um, so like on that, so you're having the kefir in the morning,
Hmm.
and then following that, you're eating
I'll have steak and eggs
steak and
most
eggs.
days. Most days
Right.
is what I'll have. I do have a variety of meat, but most days that is my go-to. Where we live in Canada, we're on the East Coast. So in the summer, I will eat tons of seafood and fish. Like there's lobster fishermen's here, so mussels, oysters, all of that, fresh fish. Um, I'll have a lot of that during the summer. Mhm.
Nice. So have any friends approached you and said, "Hey, what is it that you're doing, and how do I do it?"
I do have some that have asked, and like I said, I'll try to put them on the path of keto versus carnivore because I do feel that if you want to start on this journey, that keto is the best place to start because you have a bigger variety. And from somebody coming from the standard American diet directly to carnivore, I think that's a little bit of a shock. And also when I started keto, I had the keto flu pretty bad. So yes, I'll give them the advice. Okay, start slow, start with keto, make sure you get your salt because I used to drink LMNT, but then again I moved away from something that was not natural to unrefined salt. I carry unrefined salt everywhere I go. And now even if I'm thirsty, I take some salt. I know it sounds strange, but it helps me get through the day. So in order to avoid that keto flu, that's what I usually suggest to people. And we've built a little bit of a community. So there's people that are reaching out to us, and some of them did go carnivore. We're about I would say about 10 people. I basically sent them to the naturopaths because the naturopaths pretty much put everybody on that carnivore diet. And I was very shocked by that as well because in our community, there's a huge push for plant based. So, hearing from local naturopaths that plants are not that good for you, actually, they can be harmful in some cases, mostly in my case, with the fiber and the bloating and all of that, um, and put us on a carnivore diet. So
You experienced some keto flu going in to keto, but like making that transition from keto to carnivore, there was no problems.
no, there was actually no problem at all. The biggest problem I had was we do fasting as well. So starting to do like longer fasts, I did struggle a little bit more with that at the beginning, but now it's very natural, and that's where I attribute to being fat adapted. And I sometimes even measure my ketones, and I have some good ketones going. I have that Keto Mojo, and I follow like Thomas Seyfried. Sometimes I get up to like 3 in my, what do you call it, the GKI. So, and I just feel absolutely fantastic. Like my brain is sharper. I can concentrate all day. That's something that I didn't mention before. Before even going on keto, when it reversed um, my mental health, I was on ADHD medication because I could not get through. I could not get through a full day of work without that medication, and I was able to drop that medication, and now I can go through my full day. I'm more focused, I'm more relaxed.
Well,
Absolutely fantastic.
that's fantastic. So when you say you couldn't get through a whole day, that was kind of was that a focus thing?
It was a focus thing, and always feeling overwhelmed. I just, and too tired, and it was really brain tired. It was like, my brain is tired. I can't do this anymore. So I could get through, like, let's say after lunch, and then after that I had no more brain power. That's basically what it was. No more brain power. And now I have that all back. I have my brain power back.
That's it almost sounds like when you say after lunch, it almost sounds like the battery's just completely drained and it's like you need to switch off to kind of recharge or something, but that's gone now.
Exactly. That's 100% how I felt. It was just all gone, and I just thought it was something that I had to live with, because that's how I was. And even with the medication did help at one point, but it still couldn't carry me like a full day. So
Yeah, so at this stage you're on no meds.
I am on zero medication. I'm 56 years old. I am on zero medication. And I had my blood work done in January, because a lot of people say, um, this is bad and whatnot. And yes, my LDL went up. My HDL is in a perfect range. My A1C is 5.2. I can't remember what my triglycerides are, but they're perfect. And my doctor even said, oh, like, you only have like a 4% chance of heart disease within the next 10 years. And I'm like, you know what? That's pretty good at my age. A lot of people my age, they're on tons of medications. They're starting to get sick. Um, and that's one thing that I find really frustrating, because even though I talk to people about this, it's hard for me now to watch people suffer, because I suffered for years, with that GI distress. But when I see people, um, on the whole diabetic, heart disease, stroke, I have people that I know that have, lost toes and things like that. I find it's just frustrating, because I know what to do now, and I just wish that everybody knew what to do. But sometimes it takes a little bit more. Sometimes even talking to people, they still won't believe it.
Because I think one of the problems is, you know, you go throughout your life, and when it comes to things like health and medication and doctor's visits, people just think, well, it's almost in some ways they're almost indoctrinated into thinking this way. But you kind of get to the point where you feel like, well, it's just inevitable. Everyone
Yes,
else is on these medications, I'm gonna be there too. And then when you come along and you say, "It doesn't need to be this way," everyone's gonna be skeptical, right? Because for their whole lives, everyone around them has just accepted their fate.
exactly. But you still hear the same things said over and over again. And my medical doctor, I didn't tell my medical doctor that I was on carnivore. My husband and I, we just say we're on a low glycemic way of eating. That's all we say, basically. Um, because we know that can get a little tricky, because in mainstream, and I hear it every day, red meat is bad for you. Saturated fat is bad for you. You're going to get cancer if you eat red meat every day. And your cholesterol is going to give you a heart attack. Like, those things, people are really afraid, because that's what they hear every single day. Um, and even at the beginning of carnivore, I even started doubting myself, because you hear that and it's like, oh my gosh, am I doing this wrong? But then I kept feeling better and better and better. But I'm like, no, I resolved all these issues. I saved my colon. Oh my gosh, I saved my colon. If like now that I think about that, wow, it's just amazing to me that I would have just went in there and have them cut a part off and possibly have a bag. Like that was a possibility. That was one of the risks of the surgeries that I was going to have. So, yeah, I know that I'm on the right path, and I think what's really important is what you do, Dave, and talk to people and have people tell their stories and community. We've been on a few low carb cruises, so we've met Dr. Ken Berry, Dr. Ben Bickman. We just came back from Meat Stock 2025. And I know you'll be there next year, right? Yeah, exactly. So we've made new friends and it's amazing the stories that people have. And the last one that really hit me at Meatstock 2025 is the big ones in regards to mental health, like schizophrenia and depression and bipolar. Those are things that were not reversible. And we've seen people tell their stories that don't hear voices anymore, or they haven't had a um, manic episode in 7 years. Or the lady that was standing next to me, and she was a vegetarian for 7 years, and then one day she was craving meat. She said that she went to the grocery store and bought meat for like $250. She said, I craved it so badly and it changed her life. So community for us is everything. That's when you hear everybody's story and you know that you're on the right path.
Oh, that's nice. So based on the experience you've had, if a friend came to you and said, "Okay, I wanna do this. How do I start?" What advice would you give them to maximize their chances of success?
I would we've done this before too. It's like contact us. We will hold your hand, but please start slow. I would explain what the keto flu is because if you're glucose adapted versus fat adapted, you're gonna go through that transition. Um, Basically, just take it slow with keto, and then I don't know why, but it's just a natural transition to get to carnivore in that sense. And don't be afraid of the fat. Please don't be afraid of the fat. Don't eat the chicken and the fish only. Eat these big steaks, eat the butter, eat all the fat. I feel that I do better on the high fat. I just feel so good. Um and go from there.
Nice. Yeah, I think one of the biggest mistakes people can make going not even when they get to carnivore, just going into keto is not focusing on the fat, and because you're still in that mindset of chicken breast, it's
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yeah,
mm.
and all my life, I grew up in the 80s. It was low fat and avoid red meat. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I missed all these years of eating steak. Because steak is just so good. It's so good. So, yeah, it's too bad, but it's just too bad that it's not out there. However, I think even with the Maha movement, it's gaining some sort of momentum. Um, People are starting to pay attention.
And I think that's the most important thing. People are starting to pay attention. So people are starting to pay attention. People start to ask questions, and that's how it all, kicks off, I think, which is always a good thing.
Exactly.
More
Yeah.
information is better than less information.
Yes, yes,
Mm,
exactly. Exactly. Just sharing everybody's experiences because everybody has a story that's been on keto and carnivore. We all have a healing story and it's important to share that with everybody.
that's right. So, Sylvie, if people wanna reach out, do you have any way of getting in contact, or do you have any social media?
I do. I'm on Facebooks under Sylvie Bourgeois, and we have a small community under Low Carb for Longevity.
And that's on Facebook too?
Yes, it is. Yes.
Okay, no worries.
Mhm.
Well, I'll, link to both of those in the show notes. Sylvie, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.